Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Night. The podcast that deals with the early life of yours truly. And now, narrating Mary Jane Haven is Jimmy. "1:20 a.m. Elizabeth wakes up having abdominal cramps. So she reaches for her tonic and then turns on some of her country music records. Namely, the album that has Lovesick Blues by Hank Williams. "4:10 a.m. Frank decides to take Amy, Kathleen, JR, Cousin Joe, and Micah out on an early boat ride. A boat ride that would last for 2 hours. 5 a.m. Jim arrives back at Mary Jane. Other than those out on the boat, most of the family was asleep. He hangs up his suit coat and puts up his cowboy hat. He lights a cigarette and sits down. Nothing was stirring in the house. It was all silent, which he didn't seem to mind. 5:10 a.m. Meanwhile, on the boat, the mood is glad and joyful, as JR and Amy Kathleen happily feel the waves underneath the boat. "7 a.m. The family has breakfast, a choice between French toast and cinnamon rolls. They begin discussing what they're going to do for the day. "Well, what do you got going on today, Jim?" Frank said. "I got this meeting at 1. But we also have this lunch with Ann and Michael Stock." Elizabeth spoke up. "If President Clinton gripes, bless his little pointed head, I really don't care." "Who wants to watch the Jesus movie after breakfast?" Uncle Tom said. JR and Amy Kathleen answered yes. Micah and Joe decide to go to the beach. Christine and Forever would take the rest of the kids to the zoo. Minus little Thomas, who Betsy and Ellen would take garage sailing with them. "10:20 a.m. The rest of the family is trying to figure out what to do. Betsy and Ellen had already gone garage sailing. Jim and Frank agreed to go on a little boat ride before the kids went off to Jim and Frank agreed to go to the USS Kidd Veterans Museum. Gerald decided to stay behind with Amy Kathleen, but his cousin tells him she wants a nap. Gerald goes upstairs and into his bedroom in a down mood. As soon as he gets in his bedroom, Grandma Elizabeth comes up the stairs. "Now, Junior, don't be so sad. I got some of your favorite Hershey bars and some graham crackers. Why don't you come sit with me in the shade in the courtyard?" Grandma Elizabeth said. JR follows her downstairs and they go into the courtyard to have what JR calls Hendrix s'mores, minus the marshmallows. "12 p.m. The family has a barbecue lunch with barbecue steak, mustard potato salad, asparagus, and dessert, which was peach cobbler. It was a good time for all. Even Anne and Michael Stock agreed that it was a great time. 1 p.m. Jim meets with Marlena at the same hotel, agreeing this time to spend a few hours with her. "1 p.m. 1:30 p.m. Sensing JR in an agitated mood, Uncle Tom decides to take him and Amy Kathleen to view the Louisiana governor's mansion. When they entered into the state drawing room, Amy Kathleen was awed by the art and decoration in this room. When they entered in the state dining room, it was Uncle Tom's chance to be awed. 4 p.m. Jim leaves the hotel and gets into his rented Chrysler van to drive back to Mary Jane. Meanwhile, back at Mary Jane, the women are talking about how, after garage selling, they toured the Magnolia Plantation. JR walks in, goes upstairs to change, and goes straight into the mansion indoor pool for swimming. The women are talking about making chili dogs and chili burgers for dinner. 4:35 p.m. Jim arrives back at Mary Jane and heads straight to the drinks cabinet. This because, with the exception of Claude, most of the family was outside in the courtyard. He pours himself a Jack Daniels and drinks it before his brother-in-law, Tom, could come in, who disapproved of alcohol. 7 p.m. The family has dinner in the courtyard of chili dogs and chili burgers. Everyone is having a great time that night. JR and Cousin Joe are talking with Jim about tomorrow visiting the old Louisiana State Capitol, which would be the Louisiana Center for Political and Governmental History. 8:20 p.m. Frank, Tom, Amy Kathleen, JR, Forever, and Christine and Betsy go on a boat ride that would last for 2 hours. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Night. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the adventure. This is J.R. Hendrick saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It's going to start getting a bit more interesting.